Now that we know we're getting a fairy pack, it has basically consumed me. All I want to do is build fairy stuff, play with fairies. I'm thinking about it nonstop. This happens to me every time an expansion pack is about to come out, where like once I've seen a trailer, it's really hard for me to play normal Sims because all I want to do is use the stuff in the trailer. But we can't because it's not out yet and it won't be out for a couple of weeks. So in this video today, we're basically gonna just pretend that we have the fairy pack and we're gonna build a fairy tiny house in The Sims 4. But instead of enchanted by nature stuff, it'll be like cottage living, tiny living, that sort of cottagey vibe. Before we start, I wanna show you this real quick because they just posted this teaser. This is actual enchanted by nature. This is the real pack. It's not us just pretending to have the pack. This is like a formal official teaser that they posted, mostly showing off some of the new cast assets like new clothing, new hairstyles. They're gonna show off the traits in a second, and we also see a few extra things about fairies. So we have the new mystical, the new plant lover, and the disruptive trait. And then what I care the most about, honestly, is the fairy stuff. So they turn into an occult type. And then watch this. We can see the wings up close for the first time, and we can see some more of the wing customization. So it looks like the wings are kind of paintable in the same way that the other cast stuff is from other occults. And they also have all this new makeup. There's like horns. There's so much stuff going on in this. You could pause this a million times just to get a chance to see everything a little bit more closely. I really like this little outfit for the babies. Also the little wings the kids can wear. There's some new tattoos. This really intrigued me too because this looks like a headband, but it doesn't look attached to the hair. It looks like a hat, like just a headband that you can add to different outfits. And I guess that makes sense because they're making a few different crown type items, it looked like, for the fairies. So it kind of makes sense to have like a normal headband for average everyday Sims too. But I feel like this might not be attached to the hair. It might just be a crown that you can add to any hairstyle. At least I'm crossing my fingers and hoping. So this fairy stuff looks really similar to like cats and dogs, horses, the werewolves, you know, all of that kind of thing where you can change the swatches and you can paint separately. But we can see a ton of different wing options. I mean, look at how big the scroll bar is. There's probably loads, and there's different sizes. There's like small ones and bigger ones. And there's a paint mode so you can fully customize it yourself. I'm not so good with the paint mode in this game. I don't really use it that often, but so many people are like magical with the paint mode. They're so impressive. We're gonna see a lot of really cool things get done with this. It also looks like they've added some new skin tones. I feel like these new swatches are a little bit different. Like there's a new light blue, maybe a new pink version. There's some new makeup. And we can see like the horns and these different crowns. That's kind of what I mean by them being like different headpieces that you can add to any hair. The horns are really cool. I am really interested in that. There's a lot of different like painted on makeup like this with different stencils and stuff. Looks like a few different special eye swatches as well. And also a couple new different ears. And then of course we can see just a million different fairies in different like cast combos. I am thrilled by this. I hope that they give us a build mode teaser soon. By the time you see this video, the build teaser might even be out, but I'm recording this on Tuesday and posting it on Sunday. So for me, this teaser just came out like 5 minutes ago, which is why I wanted to show it to you. But the real reason we're here today is to build that fairy house. Now, full transparency, I actually built this house on the day the trailer came out. I was so excited for the trailer and like really trying to manifest fairies. So I spent the whole morning building a fairy tiny house before the trailer came out. And I finished it like 3 minutes before the premiere started. But when I built this, we hadn't yet seen the trailer. It ends up looking, I think, pretty similar to the vibes of the pack, but that's just because the pack has fairy vibes. So like all of the plants and like the mossy leafy stuff, well yeah, it's a pack called Enchanted by Nature. It's not exactly hard to guess what the stuff in a pack called Enchanted by Nature might end up looking like. So let's just get into it and I'll kind of walk you through what I've built. So we're on the Cordelia's Secret Cottage lot in Hemford-on-Bagley. That's the 30 by 20 lot at the very top of the world, kind of by the waterfall. And we're gonna make a micro home using the Tiny Living pack, which means we only have 32 tiles to try and build this with. So it's gonna be really small. I think that kind of makes sense because A, it's a fairy house, so like it should be little, but B, I like the idea of all the micro home perks with this. Like in a micro home, your Sims plants grow twice as fast. And that makes sense to me because it's like pretend fairy magic almost. So there's not actually a fairy living here, but we can sort of imagine that there might be. And that's why the plants are growing faster. I did do a couple sneaky things. Like I kind of tried to make some fake fake rooms. So the house is a little bit bigger than 32 tiles, but they're not really a room. So they're not counting the tiles as part of the house. I'll show you how that works at the end of the video. But this little thing on the far right side is like a sneaky addition, and the little like bump out part where the bay window is gonna go, that's also a sneaky addition. Those two things are not technically a part of the 32 tiles. But the house itself is really, really little. It's gonna be just like one room, a little one room cottage. There's not like a separate bedroom. It's just all of it all together in one space, kind of like a studio. It does have a little greenhouse space attached to it, and there's a super teeny tiny bathroom, and it is all functional. I tested everything, so I know for a fact that it works. We're starting just by trying to figure out the floor plan and like the generic shape of the building, and then we're gonna go back in and do the whole exterior first. When I built this, the only thing I had seen was that premiere teaser photo. So they posted this one picture, like a still from the trailer before the trailer came out, to kind of like taunt us as we waited for the trailer. And in the background, I could see this kind of like mossy cobblestone wallpaper. So I used that as inspo, and I used the Castle Estate kit wallpaper on the whole outside. So this kind of pretty mossy wallpaper and floor is from the castle kit, and the mossy roof is from the werewolves pack. And then I used a mix of cottage living and also get together windows on the outside. And then the greenhouse windows are from Life and Death. So for a house this tiny, I'm gonna use way too many packs, and I apologize in advance for that. It also looks very small on the lot, but just wait, because once I start putting landscaping in, there's not actually gonna be that much extra space. We fill in the entire place with plants. The first thing I did was go into the cottage living debug stuff, and I started getting some vines to put on the outside of the house. Now, the vines are like the number one thing that matters the most to me in Enchanted by Nature. There's obviously a lot of like build features and like new items that I'm kind of excited to see, but I want more vines like this so badly. I feel like this pack has to have more of them, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna be devastated. It's the perfect time to give us more stuff like this, and they need to. Right now, we're using debug ones from Cottage Living and a couple debug ones from Discover University, but the best vines in the whole game are in debug, so you have to cheat to access them, and they're from multiple different packs. I just want some nice ivy growing up walls. I really feel like it's not too much to ask. That's like my number one most requested thing in this whole pack, so that's why I started with that on the outside. I used the Cottage Living ones first. Just the leafy part is Cottage Living, and then those little blue ones are from Get Together. I'd like to have some more flowers going up the wall too. It looks like we might be getting more wisteria, at least, from the pack, but I still just want more plain leafy stuff. I also used quite a few different blue planter boxes from Get Together, and my chat was laughing at me. I did live stream this, and my chat was laughing at me, being like, oh, here we go, it's a blue Suburban again, but it's not my fault. The blue flowers just look so cute. I based the whole thing around what color wood of the planter box made the most sense, and it just happened to be the one that fit the best. It's actually been a while since I used the blue swatch of those flowers, though normally I do the pink swatch of them. So it was actually a good thing that I tried it, I think. Now, you're seeing a lot of mushrooms everywhere at the moment. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna move them back around. I kind of just like put a big pile of debug stuff that I wanted and just like left it in the front yard for a second. We're gonna come back and use those elsewhere. I'm doing the pond first, and it took me a few tries to try and get it to look how I wanted it to. That tends to happen to me with terrain manipulation. I'll like do it once, not like it, delete it, do it again, delete it, do it again, and then kind of find a way that works. I used kind of like that mossy swatch of the water as well, and then I added in some plants and some rocks. I also put things like swans. I put some different dragonflies and like lily pads and stuff. I went back and forth between swans and ducks, but I decided on swans because the swans felt more magical to me than ducks did. No offense to ducks, but the swans kind of have more of a magic vibe. I also put this little tiny frog fountain over there, and also a log that has a turtle on it. So all those weird squares you're seeing are the VFX. So that's why you can see the swans right there. It looks like a square in build mode. In live mode, it goes away. And I tested it just to make sure it kind of fit nicely by going into live mode briefly. Then I put plants literally everywhere. Like the vast majority of this build is me doing landscaping. I put mushrooms all over the place. I got these like big low-lying plants all over the place. I had like bigger bushes that I kind of filled in and put pretty cottagey florals in. I had a blast doing this. It was so fun for me. This is my favorite kind of landscaping to do, so I always enjoy getting to use the debug stuff from Cottage Living. I added a couple extra things too, like the rabbit stump from Cottage Living and that like bird house stump from Cottage Living. Those both have gameplay tied to them, so you can get birds and bunnies on your lot. I also put a little birdhouse that's just like from, maybe it's from the backyard stuff pack or like Get Together, I don't know. Just a plain birdhouse. That is pretending to be a fairy house, the birdhouse. It's not really, but we're pretending. I also used the werewolves mailbox because that one kind of has like a whimsical fairy mailbox vibe to it, at least in my mind. And now we're gonna go through and layer all the landscaping, starting with cottage living stuff. So I went through and put a few different cottage living flowers around. I also added a couple romantic garden stuff flowers around, and I kind of just tried to place them sporadically across the build. I don't really have like a rhyme or a reason to this. Normally it's just kind of like what fits here. I also try and make sure they're kind of spaced out differently so they're not like all too close together. I want to spread out the colors essentially with this, but I try not to worry about it too much because I want it to look more like a wildflower thing. I don't want it to feel like it's super planned. When I put landscaping like this, I want it to be a little bit random and whimsical feeling. Every time I do this kind of landscaping, it takes me so much longer than I think it will because I think I'm done and then I'm like, oh, another spot to fill stuff in. And I have to keep going back and forth and filling it all in. Now we're putting a little wishing well in the back. This also has a lot of like fairy whimsy energy. It is also from Romantic Garden Stuff. And then I just put some plants around it. Kind of same landscaping concept, but just back behind the wishing well. If you've never used the wishing well before, I wouldn't buy that stuff pack just for the wishing well, but if you happen to have the stuff pack, you can wish for like money, you can wish for love, you can wish for a child, and they all have like good and bad outcomes. Kind of feels like mischievous fairy versus like nice fairy. But say you wish for love, you might get unlucky and have it spawn you in like an enemy that you have a full red friendship bar with, but also a full pink romance bar with. Or you could wish for a child and you might get lucky and it could just give you like a fertility mood booster, just like a little mood that makes you more fertile for a couple hours. Or you might get unlucky and it could add a ghost child into your household. So it's just kind of fun. I like the chaos of it all. Sometimes I've wished for a promotion and then ended up getting fired, you know, stuff like that. But now we're doing a couple things outside. I wanted to add a few different skill building objects out here. So I put like a telescope in the backyard. I've got like a tiny patio that we're gonna put some seating on. And I went back and forth a lot on what kind of seating I wanted to have on the patio, because part of me was like, oh, do a wooden picnic table, because that would make sense. Then I was thinking like do a stone marbly picnic table because it kind of matches. Then I wanted to have a little umbrella on the table because that looked kind of whimsical. So I just changed my mind a lot about what table to use there. I also even considered having just a fire pit and like some logs for a second. I ended up still using that but not putting it on the patio part. And then I used the Riviera retreat table. This might have been a poor choice, I don't know, but I liked the scalloped edges on the umbrella. I felt like it kind of worked. And I used Realm of Magic chairs because those were kind of whimsical looking, so that kind of helps it fit in a little bit better, hopefully. And now we're doing terrain paint, and that is hopefully the entire exterior of the house done. I usually would advise against doing terrain paint this early in the build because you never know if the game's gonna delete your work, but I braved it this time and it ended up being okay for me. So we're just putting a couple pathways down and like some dirt terrain paint and stuff, and then we can go work on the inside and finish furnishing everything. Granted, there's not a lot to furnish. I just want to warn you. So it's gonna go by pretty quick once we get in there. Even now, I'm saying we're almost done and I still had rocks to add. I was really adding in like everything outside. I just kept finding more places to put stuff. Rocks, more terrain paint, like more little leafy things. Everywhere there was more. Okay, now's the last part. I'm putting in fireflies and then we're done. I did also consider putting a crystal tree outside. I felt like the crystal tree kind of made sense for this type of house, but nowhere I tried to put it worked. Like I just did not like how it looked anywhere. The crystal tree is so fun in theory, but the vibes of it are very strange. It kind of looks like wintry, like icicle-y to me, and it just didn't really match the house, so I ended up not using it. I wish it was green. I wish it had like green leaves and then maybe some like extra crystal-y magic stuff coming off of it. I don't think I like that it's that purpley white icy color. But anyway, we are actually going inside now. So again, the house is really small. It is a very little space. We have kind of like a front entryway by the door that's like blocked off by some spandrels. There's a little door that goes into the greenhouse. The greenhouse space is kind of gonna end up being like a living room area, just like a second living space. That tiny 3x1 room will be a bathroom, and don't worry, it is functional. We'll test it. And then we've got a super small kitchen tucked away in the front corner. I used kind of a mix of blue and green inside. I feel like right now it's not looking the cutest because I have like, it's too contrasting maybe, but once I have some rugs together, I promise it does start working. Of course, I've got cottage living stuff for the kitchen counters in there. And I ended up just using that mossy wallpaper everywhere inside. At first, I thought I was gonna use it just as like an accent color, but I kind of like it too much to only have it be an accent. So I put the moss stuff everywhere. We're also gonna use that little bay window area to put one of those cute sofas that fits perfectly in the corner. I don't really have space for like a proper living room in this area. I would like to have like a couch and a TV and like kind of your standard living room layout. It just doesn't really work with the house being this small. We do have a fireplace, so I put the fireplace up against the wall kind of next door, and I put a dining table in here. The dining table isn't like super necessary, but I do think that it's cute, so I use that. The bed has the perfect color scheme. I feel like the bed ties everything together because it's got the blue and the green with the flowers, so I use that in the very back. I ended up swapping out the nightstand and just putting a little mushroom right there and pretending the mushroom was a nightstand. You'll see in a minute what I mean by that. I just like put down a little chair and then put a lamp on top of it. There's also a bookshelf in here so you can read, I guess. And then I got some cute artwork. I used this rug from Laundry Day. It's actually 2 rugs that I layered together. And then I put some kind of fun leafy curtains around. I loved the leafy curtain in front of the bay window because it kind of looks like it's hung up on top of the spandrel. And then I also put some little clutter back behind the couch on that like big open windowsill space. I was thrilled by how this turned out. I feel like it ended up working out really well. I wasn't sure about the bay window because obviously that's part of the fake part of the house where it's not counting as part of the tiles of the room. So I didn't know if it was gonna have weird lighting or like be kind of bugged. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep the bay window. It ended up looking so nice and working so well. So I'm glad that we had that. I did put some incense in the bookshelf. I did like that a lot too because I never used the incense. That is from Spa Day. And it kind of has some nice gameplay features because you can get some mood boosts from it. I need to think about that more and place it more often. And then right here, for a time, I was considering using Bella Goth's gallery wall. And then I thought, oh my God, no, we need to use the fancy mirror from Werewolves. It's like a moon and it has crystals and plants inside of it. It's literally perfect for this. So I like scratched Bella Goth's thing and I put that instead. I did also play test everything so my sim can like fit in the bed there and stuff. It's a little bit tight, so I was worried about it, but don't worry, she can use it. And then this is that mushroom I was telling you about. So I at first wanted to have it as like a little bonus chair. I tried a lot of places to put it and then I was like, wait a minute, put it next to the bed and pretend that it's the nightstand. So I did that. We only have a little bit of clutter in the kitchen because I was kind of worried about making it non-functional by accident, but there is one corner counter you can still cook on. The entryway is pretty tight too, but I did add a couple of little decor pieces. We're gonna have like the Realm of Magic picture on the wall, and I think I did also put the keys and stuff from Everyday Clutter. Yep, I sure did. It just fit nice on that tiny wall. I think the main thing I don't like about this entryway is the color of the wood that is on that like big cabinet thing. It's technically a dresser, so you can change your clothes in it, but it doesn't come in a wood swatch that matches better. And the one that has a mirror was too big. It didn't fit in the space, so I couldn't use it. This bathroom is so small that it basically finishes in like 30 seconds in the speed build. I put a shelf with some clutter in there. I put a toilet and a nice sink. There is also a shower, and you can see how the shower is like directly in front of the door. Don't even worry about it. Your Sims can walk across those shower types. So they just walk straight across it and it's no big deal. I do that 3x1 bathroom in a lot of tiny houses that I build, and I promise that it works. And then lastly, we have this little room, and this one kind of becomes like a second living room, or maybe like a real living room. The main thing I wanted to have was a computer and a desk. I feel like it's just nice for gameplay to have a computer and a desk, so I put one of those in there, and it's like the typewriter from Cottage Living. And then I also put a rocking chair and a tea set. I kind of wanted to have a tea set in the main part of the house, but it just didn't really end up fitting. So I put it in this tiny greenhouse room instead. And I love the idea of like sitting there in the sunroom with your tea. It's just a cute kind of cozy place to hang out. So there's not a ton of furniture, but there is enough furniture for it to be functional. I also added some lights in there, fairy lights, dare I say. And then I'm putting some last minute details in, things like a hanging cow plant, the thermostat, we've got a trash can, just kind of covering all of our bases. And that, my friends, is the fully finished build. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I want to go pop into the game again real quick and give you a proper tour, and then I'll also show you what I mean by those fake rooms in the tiny house, because that is kind of confusing. So I built this in Henford-on-Bagley up here on this 30x20 lot, and Dirk Dreamer moved in for some reason. I wonder why. That's fine. Well, this is what it looks like when you first load into the lot. You can kind of see the vibes a bit more with like the dragonflies and the swans and all of these little fireflies around. And I'll show you around the outside first. So as you can see, there is a very significant number of mushrooms. basically everywhere. We also have things like the birds. I have rabbits over here. I've got a fake fairy house. And I also put a bunch of gnomes because they kept teasing gnomes before the pack got announced. Now we know there's like a whole gnome neighborhood and like you pray to the gnome or something. So I put some gnomes down too because I guess it feels very enchanted by nature vibes. Way back here, this is the wishing well. So you can make a wish on this. You can also come around back this way and use the telescope. You can sit by the fire. We've got a couple planter boxes for you and an outdoor table. And then on this side is obviously the pond. The house itself is really small, but I think it turned out really cute in terms of like all the vibes. When you come in the house, there's that little tiny entryway that I was showing you. We have things like your bags and your keys. To the right, we have the sunroom space with your desk and your rocking chair. This is that tiny bathroom I had warned you about. It is really, really small. And then in the main living space, is that a goat? Oh my God, I put a goat on the lot, but it was meant to be like out here. On the gallery, it's like right there. The goats are in build mode, by the way, if you were wondering. We have a little teeny tiny kitchen back here. We have a teeny tiny living room right here, a table with chairs, and then your bedroom space. Technically, only this room, the bathroom, and then this little part are tiles in the house. The greenhouse and also this little corner space are not tiles. You can't click on them because they're not a room in a game. So I kind of tricked The Sims 4 into giving me a little bit of extra space. And the way that you do that is like normally if you build a room, you see how it added it and now it's 38 tiles? It is no longer a micro home. But if I build the room like this and I draw 3 of the walls separately, make that last one like this and just add it on, the game doesn't think this is a room, but I can still decorate it like a room. I can put a floor, I can add a door, I can add a roof. It's a little bit annoying to add a roof because I can't like see tiles above it, but I can just take this and like drag it all the way over. And now I have what looks like a room, but as far as the game is concerned, is not actually a room. So you could do this with any size tiny house. You could do it with any size room you want. You can make it like a really big addition. If you really wanted to, you could build an entire house this way, technically, and like get yourself a whole fake space. Oh, it's floating. Whatever, you get it. The key is just to not close the room naturally. You don't want to draw that last wall and have it be attached. You want to like draw it separately and then move it in. And then you can still have your tiny house perks, but it's like sneakily a little bit bigger. I didn't really have to do that with this house. Like both of these things that I have in that space aren't necessary. I just did it so that the roof would look nicer. I think it looks really cute on the side, you know? So it was purely a cosmetic choice, but I think it was worth it. And with that, the build is basically done. It's really not very big. That covers the entire thing. So on the gallery, I called it Fairy Cottage. It does cost 37,000 simoleons, which is a little bit too expensive for a house this small, but it's okay. And it also has a lot of packs. I apologize, but it's up there for you if you want to use it. And I think on that note, I am gonna wrap this video up right here. If you haven't seen the Enchanted by Nature trailer yet, I'll link my trailer reaction down below. The next trailer is gonna come out on Thursday the 26th, so we don't have too much longer to wait until we get some more information. Also, that new event that they're starting, the base game free-to-play event where you can earn some new free items, starts on Tuesday, June 24th. So stay tuned for that because we can win things like an outhouse and like some new outdoorsy prizes, and that'll be like free base game content for you. You just have to play the challenge first to unlock it. That's just a couple days away. So lots going on, lots of fun Sim stuff right now. But I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. You know what's so bad is I'm building all these fairy houses right now, but I'm gonna keep building them in a few weeks when I get the real pack. This is like the season of fairy content on my channel. It's gonna last for months, but I'm not mad about that. I'm actually very excited about that.